Discover 3 spine-chilling true tales of cursed beach houses with sinister secrets revealed. Lisa gripped the steering wheel tighter, her knuckles white as the endless stretch of road lined with crumbling houses loomed in front of her. She had dragged her kids, Max and Emma, away from the chaos of city life in search of solace, only to find herself swallowed by an eerie stillness. The quaint town of Havensport looked too perfect yet too quiet, a facade that stirred something dark within her. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, raising the hair on the back of her neck. Just a fresh start, she whispered to herself, trying to ignore the feeling of being watched as they parked outside the old beach house. The house creaked as if sighing from age, inviting them in. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of salt and something else, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. Max and Emma giggled as they explored, but Lisa couldn't shake the chill that wrapped around her heart. That night, as they settled in, the old house whispered secrets, lulled them into a deceptive sleep, and then suddenly shifted, awakening her with sharp noises, like footsteps just outside the door. "It's just the wind," she murmured, despite the dread pooling in her stomach. As days passed, the whispers grew bolder, transforming into those chilling, softly spoken names in the dead of night. Then came the neighbor, a seemingly kind man with an unsettling gaze. He always stopped by, offering help but lingering too long, watching her children with an intensity that struck alarm. Lisa felt his presence like a dark shadow creeping, an urge to scream out to him to go away, but being new in town, she smiled, feigning hospitality. Her nights erupted in fear, every sound seemed like a warning. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Unable to fend off the grip of apprehension, Lisa began to investigate the town's dark past, hoping to understand the unease that swirled around her. But the locals waved her off, their friendly smiles twisting into something sinister. Something in the air felt thick, a tightness in her chest as she stumbled across rumors of families gone missing. With each word, the reality solidified, a string of disappearances tied to her beach house, all echoing her own desperate search for safety. That's when she unearthed the diary. Page after page chronicled the frantic thoughts of those who had come before her, each family unraveling in a similar progression: hope, laughter, despair. A chilling realization screamed that the neighbor was more than a curious presence, he was their jailer, a puppet master weaving through shadows. The authorities? They were in on the silence too, a gaze always trailing her, a constant whisper of warning: just let it go. Every plea she made for help fell flat. As her kids laughed, a hollow echo filled the air, voices sickeningly sweet yet tainted with despair, threatening to drown them in the darkness. Night after night, staring out at the vast sea, Lisa felt the ground tremble beneath her like the impending storm. An agonizing instinct urged her to run, but where could she escape? She was trapped in a web of haunting memories, her heart pounding in rhythm with the sinister whispers surrounding her. The house pulsed, alive with something far worse than she had imagined, craving to consume her family like all the others. Tomorrow loomed closer, the sun trapped behind heavy fog, waiting, watching, and so were they. Would they become another tale of horror in Havensport, or could she protect her children from the dark legacy lurking just beyond the door? The first light of dawn barely penetrated the oppressive fog hanging over Havensport. Inside the sinister beach house, Lisa wakened with dread suffocating her chest. Beside her, Max and Emma slept soundly, blissfully unaware of the looming threat. She shifted in bed, the spring creaking beneath her, a bitter reminder of the house's disquieting nature. It felt as if the walls themselves were listening, their hunger palpable. The diary lay open on the bedside table, filled with the turmoil of families who had succumbed to its allure. Each entry was a countdown, a spiral into madness that left her feeling frozen. She glanced at the clock, time was slipping away. They'd become the next tempting prize, playing a twisted game that she hadn't agreed to. The thought made her skin crawl. Throwing on a sweater, she stepped into the chilly morning air, the salty breeze mingling with the scent of something foul that tainted it. Taking a deep breath, she forced herself to walk toward the beach. The townsfolk would begin their quiet ritual soon. She needed to find answers before the creeping shadows devoured her whole. As the waves crashed with a fury that mirrored her mounting panic, she spotted the neighbor at the edge of the shore. His back was turned, but even from a distance, she felt the intensity of his gaze. Something in the way he stood rigid and alert sent shivers racing down her spine. She took a step back, recalling his previous visits, the unsettling questions that felt probing rather than curious. Had he been watching them this entire time? Lisa turned hurriedly, feeling the weight of his presence heavy in the air. She picked up her pace, desperate to get back to the house, but a movement caught her eye. In the surf, a dark object bobbed in the water, maybe debris from the storm. A chill ran down her spine as she wandered closer, drawn in by an invisible tether. The closer she got, the more it seemed to come alive, drawing her in like a desperate whisper. It was a small wooden chest, battered and worn. She hesitated, heart racing. What could be inside? Shaking off her caution, she hoisted it onto the sand, her breath hitching as she pried it open. Dust filled the air, swirling like phantom memories longing to escape. Inside lay an assortment of photographs, all depicting families' smiling faces twisted over time, each one wearing the same disquieting look that made her stomach knot. As she sifted through the pictures, a single photograph slipped from her hands and fluttered into the icy surf. Heart pounding, she leaned down to retrieve it. But as she reached for the photograph, she froze. There, off in the distance, the first image stood out like a beacon. The family was there, together and intact, but the background painted a chilling picture. It was their beach house. The house of her nightmares. With dawning horror, Lisa realized each photograph was a timeline, and the chill in the air suddenly felt more sinister than before. The expanse of the ocean turned sinister, whispering promises of what lay ahead. The house craved its next meal, and her family had unwittingly walked into its trap. A scream broke the murmur of waves, unrecognizable among the lapping water. It was brutal, a heart-piercing wail that sent a jolt through her body. Max and Emma. Racing back toward the house, she felt time stretch thin, terror coursing through her veins like ice. What was happening? Bursting through the door, she caught sight of him, the neighbor, standing in the shadows of the doorway, eyes glinting with a predatory delight. "You shouldn't have looked," he whispered, his voice creeping into her mind like a cold draft. A terrible realization dawned: the darkness around her wasn't just watching. It had chosen her. Would she reach her children in time, or had she already walked too far down the path of doom? The rush of panic clawed at her as the house shuddered, alive with a dreadful hunger. Lisa's heart hammered against her ribcage, each beat a deafening reminder of the urgency that pulsed through the room. The neighbor's smirk twisted her stomach, the darkness in his eyes promising chaos. She forced herself to push past him, ready to sprint up the stairs. "Get away from them!" she screamed, her voice slicing through the stale air like a knife. She needed to reach Max and Emma, to wrap her arms around them and shield them from whatever horror lurked within these walls. The floor creaked ominously beneath her feet, almost as if the house itself were protesting her ascent. Gritting her teeth, she dashed to the children's room. The door swung open as if it had been waiting for her, and she stumbled inside. They lay on the bed, still lost in slumber. The sunlight spilled through the window, illuminating their peaceful faces, but it felt tainted, like a cruel joke. Lisa rushed to Max's side, shaking him. "Wake up! Wake up!" His eyelids fluttered, but he grumbled, barely aware of her. A quick glance toward Emma showed her daughter still tucked under the covers, oblivious to the menace that had invaded their sanctuary. Terror gripped Lisa as she recalled the images from the chest. She leaned closer to Max, whispering urgently, "You need to get up. We have to leave." Her voice trembled, a sharp contrast to the serene atmosphere surrounding them. Struggling to shake off his grogginess, Max finally opened his eyes, confusion mixing with sleep. "Mom?" What? The crack of wood echoed from the hall like a gunshot, swift and relentless. Lisa's heart plummeted. "Stay here," she commanded with fierce desperation. But she couldn't go back downstairs. Not with that man lurking. Suddenly, a chill washed over her, the air in the room turned frigid. The wall behind her trembled as if the house was feasting on the fear emanating from her. She turned, eyes wide, to the doorway. The neighbor stood there, blocking the exit, his smile grotesque and unnatural. "You can't run from this," he crooned, voice silky smooth and dripping with mockery. "You've already opened the door. Now it's time to embrace what you've invited in." Lisa felt a wild surge of anger pulse through her. This man was part of it. He knew the stories, the whispers. "What did you do?" she shouted, guilt and rage intertwining in her throat. "What have you done to my family? You're sick." A twisted laugh reverberated through the space, raising the hairs on her neck. "Sick? No. I simply act as a guide, a messenger to the inevitable. The house wants what it wants." He stepped closer, shadows clinging to him like a cloak. "And it always gets its way." The walls creaked louder, almost breathing, the air thick with impending doom. Panic clawed at her throat as Lisa noticed the photos she had seen earlier flash painfully in her mind. Her family trapped in another time, like ghosts haunting the past. "Mom? I'm scared." Max's voice broke through, grounding her for a moment. Her eyes darted to him. "We have to go. Now." She grabbed his hand, looking back at the neighbor, who seemed to swell with excitement. "Don't you understand?" The man rasped, a thrill dancing in his eyes. "You can't escape destiny. The tides of fate are rising, and asking you to surrender. Your family is part of this story now." The house shook violently, a low growl rumbling through the floors. Lisa could feel it, a deep, ancient hunger begging for sacrifice. What could she do? She had to protect Max and Emma, but she felt so small against the weight of the malevolent force around them. Gripping Max's hand tighter, she took a deep breath, heart racing. "We need to find Emma." But as she turned to glance at the bed, fear prickled her skin. Emma was gone. The covers lay undisturbed, a chilling silence where her daughter had been. "Emma!" she called, panic exploding in her chest. The neighbor's grin widened, gleeful and wicked. "There's no escaping the house's paw. She's not far from you, just watch the shadows dance." Lisa stood frozen, trapped by the weight of his words. Shadows? What did he mean? A rush of footsteps echoed behind her, stirring the suffocating silence. Was it Emma or something much worse? Every instinct screamed that they were running out of time. With a shout of determination, she pushed past the neighbor and bolted into the hall, desperate to reclaim her daughter from the clutches of darkness. But as she fled, the walls seemed to close in, the sinister house pulsating with a life of its own, and the ground beneath her feet started to shift. Would she find Emma in time, or was the house ready to unleash its ultimate horror? The walls shuddered ominously, an unsettling reminder that time was not on her side. The hallway twisted in on itself as Lisa sprinted forward, her breath coming in gasps. The shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, dancing as if alive, taunting her with their dark promise. "Emma!" she cried again, voice spiraling into desperation. The emptiness swallowed her words, amplifying her fear. The walls seemed to pulse, the house alive, as if feeding off the frantic energy. She could hear the distant thumping of something. Was it her own heart or the drum of something much darker? Eerie whispers echoed in the air, slithering past her ears like cold fingers. Mommy! Emma's voice, faint and muffled, drifted from the stairwell. A sliver of hope sparked, but panic doused it quickly. Lisa reached the top of the stairs, eyes narrowing in the shadowed corners. Emma! The name grew heavy on her tongue as she strained for an answer. In that instant, a chill wound around her, snaking through her spine. A presence loomed behind her, a wretched laugh splitting the air. She turned to find the neighbor right there, his face just inches from hers, eyes glimmering with a manic intensity. What fun would it be if it ended so soon? He hissed. Her instincts kicked in. She sidestepped, eyes darting around for an escape, spotting an open door at the end of the hall. She sprinted toward it, feeling the weight of the house closing in like a noose. The creaking sound grew louder, a cacophony of the walls threatening to crumble around her. Bursting into the next room, she felt the air shift instantly. Here, the light dimmed, replaced with a sinister glow emanating from an old, flickering lamp. The walls were lined with family portraits, faces eerily similar to her children, their eyes hollow, smiles twisted. A pit opened in her stomach. Would she too become one of them, a ghost trapped amid family photos? Emma. She called again, urgency blending with terror. Her eyes scanned the room as a wave of dread washed over her. Then she spotted a faint movement in the corner. A shadow, small and delicate, flitted behind a tattered curtain. Lisa rushed toward it, tearing the curtain aside. Emma. But what she found was not her daughter. The curtain revealed an empty space, littered with broken shards of glass and old memories, the remnants of lives once lived. Where are you? Tears blurred her vision, despair threatening to collapse her. Just then, the door slammed shut with a bone-rattling crash. Her heart jumped into her throat. She spun around, face flushed with fear. The neighbor peered in through the narrow window, grinning like a wolf spotting prey. "She's safe for now," he taunted, twisting the knife of agony deeper. Lisa bellowed, pounding on the door. "Let me out. Let me find her." The walls seemed to echo her cries, their responses muffled and agonizing. What had she done to put her family in this position? Swallowing hard, she felt her body tremble, the weight of dread pressing against her. Suddenly, another sound broke through the silence, a whisper, scared yet melodic. Mommy realization struck. It was Emma, so close, yet so far. Emma. Lisa's voice trembled as she pushed against the door, but it held firm against her frantic efforts. The neighbor leaned closer, eyes glistening. "Why not embrace what is waiting for you in the dark? She will come to you, in ways you cannot imagine." Suddenly, the house began to shake, and Lisa staggered, grasping for stability. Pictures fell from the walls, glass shattering around her like a storm. The laughter of the neighbor faded into cacophony, drowning out her thoughts. "Mom!" Emma's voice was louder, clearer. She had to get to her. With renewed determination, Lisa slammed her shoulder against the door, adrenaline surging. The door splintered, but as it opened, she felt an icy hand grip her wrist. From the shadows emerged a figure, a glimpse of Emma, but wrong. Her daughter's face was pale, ethereal, eyes locked in a trance. "Help me," Emma breathed, the words barely a whisper. Lisa froze, stunned by the transformation. What had this house turned her daughter into? Suddenly, the walls quaked again, the air thick. With whispers that chanted, "Join us," time seemed to freeze as Lisa stared at her daughter, desperate and terrified. Could she pull Emma back? Could she fight the house's grip? Without hesitation, Lisa lunged forward. "We're getting out of here." But as she reached for Emma, another figure stepped forward from the shadows, an older version of her daughter, eyes dark, and smiling that grotesque smile. "Too late," it whispered. The ground beneath her shook violently, spilling them into chaos. Lisa gasped, heart hammering, gripped by dread. What else lay in wait? What price would she pay to reclaim her daughter? The shadows shifted again, and she felt a terrible certainty that whatever force dwelled in the house was ready to claim them both. Would Lisa ultimately succumb to the darkness, or could she save her family in time? The world around Lisa spun, reality blurring into a nightmare. Her heart pounded in her chest, shaking loose the adrenaline as she gazed between the two versions of Emma. Each girl held a different fate. One was real, begging for rescue, while the other, dark and sinister, seemed woven from shadows themselves. Lisa hesitated, caught between love and fear. Her gut told her to reach out, but terror clawed at her thoughts. "Don't listen to her!" Lisa shouted, desperation clawing through her voice as she pointed at the apparition. "Emma, please! Come to me!" The spectral Emma only smiled wider, a grin that twisted something deep inside her mother. "You can't save both, Mommy. You can only choose one." The words hung in the air like a death knell, the malevolent energy in the room thickening, pressing in on Lisa from all sides. She looked back to her daughter, fighting to stay focused amidst the encroaching darkness. The real Emma's fragile form flickered like a flame in the wind, fighting against something unseen. "Help me!" she cried again, her voice trembling. The walls shifted ominously, groaning in agreement with the twisted figure by Lisa's side. "Join us. Embrace the truth. Families belong together, don't they?" The older version's eyes glinted, a predator's hunger lurking beneath. What did it mean? What truth lay beneath the surface? "No!" Lisa shouted defiantly. "You're not my daughter. You're a lie." Each word felt like lightning crackling in the cramped space. The dark Emma laughed, a sound that sent shivers racing down her spine. "But you have spent so long away from her. The dark offers love too, you know." The room spun again, wood splintering as the shadows pulsed with life. Lisa's instincts kicked in, a maternal rage igniting her limbs. She forced herself toward the real Emma, desperation pulling her through the thick air. "Hold on. I'll get you." But before she could bridge the gap, the walls shifted violently, a surge of shadowed figures pouring forth, clogging the space around her. They were more than mere shadows, they were the remnants of those who had entered but never left. Lisa plunged forward, adrenaline pushing her through the throng, each brush with the dark figures like ice on her skin. "Emma!" she screamed, voice raw, but the echo of her call swirled back at her, distorted and taunted. "Help us! Join us! Family is forever!" The voices merged in a haunting harmony that sent waves of fear crashing over her. Gritting her teeth against the fear, Lisa pushed through, clawing for the light that seemed to flicker just ahead. Tendrils of shadow wrapped around her ankles, trying to pull her down, to drag her into the abyss. Emma's real self shimmered like a fading ghost, the plea in her eyes growing more desperate. "Mommy! Please!" With every ounce of strength, Lisa leaped. She reached out, grasping at the thin air, fingers sliding against the translucent form of her daughter. Hope and despair twisted inside her, battling for dominance. "Let her go!" The command rang out of Lisa's mouth as she felt the shadows clutching desperately at her heart, wanting to consume her, take her too. But something deep inside shifted, she would not let this entity win. The dark taproot couldn't take her whole, and this was the moment where she would decide her fate. As her fingers brushed against Emma, a warm surge rushed through her, a light blazing from deep within that shattered the remaining darkness, scattering the figures away from her. "What did you think would happen? You belong to us." The dark version howled as it twisted away, despair thrumming in its voice. "Not today!" Lisa yelled, feeling the warmth washing through her. She pulled her daughter into a tight embrace, knowing it was now or never. But as they clung together, the house twisted beneath them. One or the other, the voices hissed, their tone darkening. Suddenly, everything around them began to tear apart. Walls splintered, shadows screeched in agony, and Lisa felt the ground splitting. The vortex of chaos spun, tearing her grasp away. Before she could process the danger, cold fingers gripped her ankle. "You can't run!" A shrill scream erupted from within the shadows. Had Emma been lost again? With sheer will, Lisa kicked out, pushing against the darkness, forcing it away. Yet, reality dimmed, and darkness surged as she fought against the tide, heart racing with the possibility of losing everything she loved. A beam of light cut through the last tendrils of darkness, revealing a way out, but the moment was shaky. Would they escape, or was this the final trap? As they stumbled toward the painfully bright corridor, Lisa's heart thundered with uncertainty. The house was shifting, desperately trying to reclaim them both. What awaited them on the other side? Would they emerge unscathed, or would shadows linger even as they stepped outside? Lisa's breath hitched. What horror might still lurk in the light? The brightness felt blinding as they bolted toward the corridor, each step jarring against the chaotic backdrop threatening to swallow them whole. The walls convulsed, shrieks reverberating as if the house were wailing in fury over their escape. Lisa could feel Emma clinging tightly to her, a fragile warmth against the creeping chill that nipped at their heels. Faster! Lisa urged, her voice harsh and frantic. The corridor loomed ahead, promising safety. Outside, the moon flickered ominously, waxing and waning as if it also were caught in the turmoil, but then, a dreadful realization crashed over Lisa. Emma, stay close. We can't. The dark version lunged forward from the shadows, eyes burning with hatred, extending a hand that dripped with a cold darkness. You can't leave with her. She belongs to the dark now. Time slowed for a moment as Lisa felt a visceral jolt of panic. Emma faltered beside her, caught in a bewildering clash. Mommy, her voice quivered, draped in confusion and fear. No! Lisa screamed, forcing herself to move, but the space around them shifted unpredictably, a vortex of despair swirling, threatening to pull them apart. Lisa's heart raced, pumping adrenaline through her veins even as despair clawed at her throat. The apparition of Emma twisted in place, its voice a slithering hiss. Why would you choose her over the love I can offer? Your daughter needs guidance. Let go. Emma, listen to me. Lisa shouted, pushing through the suffocating darkness. You're not lost. I want to let you go. The air thickened, and shadows closed in closer. She could barely see her daughter's face, but she could feel her fear. The fabric of reality shimmered, stretching and warping, a grotesque reflection of their struggle. Mommy, Emma's real self echoed, voice breaking like the frail glass of her heart. Lisa fought back against the encroaching blackness with an intensity fueled by sheer survival. I love you. I want to let this thing take you. She surged forward, a desperate leap of faith. We'll find a way out, I promise. But the dark version was relentless, lunging at them with every ounce of rage coiling in its shadowy form. You will both be mine. Tendrils wrapped around Lisa's arms, pulling her into the abyss. Emma screamed, a wild, piercing sound that resonated deeper than any fear Lisa had known. Fight it. Lisa urged as cold fingers slicked against her skin, trying to drag her down. She could feel Emma's presence slipping, disappearing into the encroaching blackness. Don't let go of me. I'm trying. Emma gasped, confusion swirling in her eyes. The dark version grinned, its face a mask of malevolence, dancing in the space between them. Suddenly, a rush of light surged through Lisa, pulling her up as if the universe was rebelling against the darkness. No! The dark version screeched, arms flailing, grasping to pull Lisa back, but the light burned fiercely in defiance. Take my hand. Lisa cried, drowning out the chaos, reaching across the divide that felt unbearable, each word an anchor against despair. With a heaving breath, Emma lunged forward, and their fingertips grazed. In that fleeting moment, electricity jolted through them, the bond of a mother and child igniting a power that pushed against the darkness. As they began to pull away from the suffocating shadows, the remnants of despair screeched in agony, whipping around them like a storm. You can't escape me. The dark Emma screeched, its voice trembling with rage, but as waves of light engulfed them, the house trembled, suddenly liberating them from its grasp. With one last desperate scream, everything shattered. It felt like being reborn from the ashes of a nightmare, but when they opened their eyes, something was not right. The world outside wavered, the air thick with unshakable tension. Where are we? Lisa murmured, pulling back to take in their surroundings. The vibrant landscape around them felt wrong, too pristine, too unwelcoming. Emma's expression mirrored her confusion. I don't know. And then, from the shadows lurking at the edges of their vision, a chilling echo reverberated. You can never leave. Lisa's heart dropped. Had they truly escaped? Or had they just crossed into another layer of the darkness? As the whispers grew louder, dread seeped back in what sinister truths awaited them in this uncharted territory. Lisa blinked hard, trying to shake off the disorienting feeling that followed their escape. The eerie landscape stretched around them, too perfect, too quiet. Every blade of grass stood unnaturally straight, and the air felt heavy, as if saturated with an unyielding dread. Where did we end up? Emma's voice trembled beside her. I don't know, Lisa said, scanning the horizon. The trees looked bizarrely symmetrical, twisted into shapes that felt vaguely sinister. They were too still, their branches frozen in unnerving silence. As if summoned by her thoughts, a rustle skimmed through the trees, causing a shiver to race down her spine. Stay close, she warned, clutching Emma's hand tighter. They moved cautiously, each step echoing in the oppressive stillness. Suddenly, Lisa spotted a dilapidated sign half hidden in the weeds, swinging slightly as it creaked against the wind. It read, "Welcome to Willow Creek, a place of escape." It sent a chill crawling across her skin. Escape? Emma whispered, confusion lacing her tone. From what? Before Lisa could respond, a loud crack reverberated through the trees, and somewhere a distant laugh rang out. It was hollow, mocking, a sound that should have belonged to a ghost. Her heart raced as she pulled Emma closer. We need to move. They quickened their pace, darting between the trees that loomed like sentries. Each turn felt wrong, as if the world was guiding them deeper into a sinister web. The shadows danced just beyond their sight, teasing them with promises of safety but ensuring only unease. There. Emma's finger shot out, pointing toward a clearing ahead where a flickering light broke through the darkness. They raced toward it, driven by the desperate need to escape the growing sense of hopelessness that clung to them. As they reached the edge of the clearing, they stumbled upon an old cabin, its windows boarded and door slightly ajar. The light emanated from within, flickering and pulsating as if it had a life of its own. Something wasn't right about it. Do we go in? Emma asked, uncertainty rippling in her voice. Lisa hesitated, scanning the perimeter. The darkness pressed closer, and the whispers escalated into a discordant symphony. They needed shelter, but at what cost? Let us check it out. They stepped inside, the door creaking ominously as it swung open. The interior was gloomy, shadows clinging to corners. A single bulb swung from the ceiling, casting a feeble glow. Dust motes floated lazily, and the air was thick with a musty odor, a tang of decay. Is anyone here? Lisa called, her voice thick with tension. Silence swallowed her words. The atmosphere was heavy, stifling. It felt as if the walls were alive, watching them. Then she noticed something in the far corner, an old mirror, its surface marred and cracked. A chill inched up her spine as she approached it. As she leaned in closer, the air turned frigid. Reflected in the glass was not just her own image, but a dark silhouette that stood right behind her. Lisa spun around, heart pounding in her chest, but nothing was there. Mommy? Emma's voice broke through the fog of disbelief. Stay back. Lisa shouted, panic clawing at her throat. The moment hung suspended, dread filling the room. Then the shadows inside the mirror began to swirl and twist, forming an outline that resembled the dark version of Emma, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. You've entered my domain, it whispered, a voice echoing within the room. Get out. Lisa screamed, shoving Emma behind her as the room felt like it was collapsing in. The shadows detangled, reaching for them, and a rush of cold wind slammed the door shut. No! Lisa yelled as she turned to push against the door, panic rising. But the coldness was overwhelming. Mommy, we need to run. Emma cried, her eyes wide with terror. With a lurch, the mirror cracked deeper, the dark figure cackling as it reached forward with elongated fingers, ready to pull them into the void. they had to escape again, but would this time be any different? As the shadows danced, an unshakable fear settled in. What if they were truly trapped? In the swirling chaos, the air crackled with foreboding. Could the mirror reveal a way back, or would it only show them the darkness they had narrowly fled from? With terror tightening its grip, they faced the looming question: what came next in this twisted game? The mirror pulsed ominously, its dark edges flickering as if alive. Each heartbeat thumped in Lisa's ears, drowning out her thoughts. She grappled with the door handle, but it didn't budge. The whispers in the cabin grew louder, echoing older sorrows. "Mommy." Emma's voice was a sharp knife in the thick silence. Her small hands tugged at Lisa's sleeve, panic etched in her face. "Hold on," Lisa cried, trying to keep her fear in check. She had to think. The darkness behind the mirror was swirling faster, a maelstrom of shadow and mocking laughter. It was drawing her in, threading the air with dread. "Look!" Emma pointed toward the mirror, her voice shaking. The dark figure, now fully formed, smiled back at them with a twisted smile, void of warmth, as if it thrived on their fear. "You cannot leave. You are part of the escape now," it hissed, every word slithering into their minds. "Shut up!" Lisa shouted, her resolve hardening. She needed a plan. "We have to find something, anything to fight this." Rushing through the cabin, Lisa glanced around. The table was littered with grimy trinkets, old books whose pages appeared to wriggle. A cabinet stood ajar, and from within, something glittered dully in the dim light. "We need to get to that cabinet," she shouted over the rising cacophony of shadows. "Mommy, I'm scared." Emma trembled, clutching her tightly. "Just hold on to me," Lisa said, determination setting her shoulders square. She dashed for the cabinet, reaching inside without hesitation. Her fingers brushed against something cold and sharp, an old silver dagger, encrusted with dust but still glimmering with a strange allure. "Will this work?" Emma whispered, wide-eyed. "Only one way to find out," Lisa replied, gripping the handle tightly. Behind them, the dark figure let out a harrowing screech, the sound slashing through the room as it twisted violently. The shadows lunged toward them, tendrils of darkness snaking across the floor like vine roots seeking to pull them down. "Get back!" Lisa shouted, brandishing the dagger as if it were a beacon of hope. She felt a surge of energy as she stepped forward, ready to confront the creeping darkness, but the figure laughed, cruel and mocking. "You think a mere object can save you? You are already trapped in my realm." The shadows thickened, swirling faster, their grip growing tighter. Fear clawed at Lisa's insides. She felt the despair crawling over her skin as she held the dagger, the chill seeping into her bones. Desperation surged, and with a swift motion, Lisa plunged the dagger into the mirror's frame. It connected with a loud, resonating crack. The sound echoed through the cabin, cutting through the dizziness of fear. The dark figure recoiled, shadows rippling away momentarily, allowing a glimpse of pure light bursting from behind the cracks. Lisa's heart raced. Had she done it? But the reflection in the mirror shifted again, coiling like smoke, and then it spoke, its voice now colder than before. "You think that will be enough? You are not just escaping a place. You are escaping something far worse." Mommy Emma's voice trembled again, a plea for strength. "Stay with me. We'll fight this together." Lisa vowed, the dagger still clutched tightly in her hand, though trembling with uncertainty. The shadows pulsated in furious rhythm, and a sudden, deafening silence enveloped them. In that moment of quiet, Lisa's resolve deepened. They had to break free. No more running. They'd face whatever dark truth awaited them, together. As the shadows coalesced around them once more, a chilling revelation hovered in the air. What if the true horror wasn't just the darkness behind the mirror, but the truth hiding within themselves? And just as Lisa prepared for the inevitable clash, the mirror burst, casting shards of fractured reflections everywhere. In that chaos, something dark and sinister flickered in the air, and the laughter shifted to a frantic whisper. "You're not alone anymore." The room spun as new nightmares beckoned, leaving Lisa breathless and trembling, the horror waiting to unfold more than they could ever have imagined. What other secrets lurked in the depths of Willow Creek? What would they have to confront next? The shards of the mirror fell like rain, glimmering with malicious intent on the floor. Each sliver caught the low light, reflecting twisted images of Lisa and Emma back at them, distorting their features into grotesque mockeries. Fragments of laughter echoed around the cabin, a cacophony of madness as the darkness writhed in the corners, trying to consume everything in its path. "Mommy," the shadows. Emma's voice cracked, small and helpless. Lisa gripped the dagger tightly, its cold metal biting into her palm. She had to remain strong. "Stay close, Emma," she urged, heart pounding as she stared at the mess of light and shadow. The very air felt thick, suffocating, like the cabin was a living entity craving despair. The dark figure began to reform from the swirling shadows, and as it did, it took on a more sinister aspect, its face contorted with rage. "You think you can defy me?" it hissed, extending arms made of inky darkness, reaching for them. "No!" Lisa screamed, feeling a rush of adrenaline as she lunged forward, aiming the dagger at the heart of the figure. It felt like plunging into ice water, electrifying and terrifying. But the blade passed through its form without resistance, like trying to stab smoke. In that moment, hopelessness choked her, her breath catching. "What do you want from us?" she cried, backing away as its laughter intensified, curling around her like barbed wire. "I want everything," the figure continued, an eerily smooth voice against the chaos. "I want your souls, your fears, your very essence. And now, you've invited me in." Each word felt like poison, infecting the space between them. "No!" Emma yelled defiantly, stepping forward. "You can't have us." "Emma, no." Lisa tried to pull her back, but a wave of shadow surged forward, separating them. The girl's small frame felt like a flicker of light in a growing storm. "Stay back!" Emma shouted, brandishing a shard of glass she had picked up. The light danced off its surface, showing a flicker of resolve. "You're not scary." Instinctively, Lisa reached for her daughter, but shadows lashed out, sweeping her off her feet. She gasped, fear wrapping around her heart as she crumpled to the ground. The figure loomed closer, its smirk widening, savoring their panic. "Ah, sweet daughter. Just like your mother, trying to play savior. How charming, but let us see if you really want to know the truth." The figure began to speak again, and the air around them thickened with images, memories swirling like an unstoppable tempest. Lisa felt the sorrow of the past creeping in, shadowy figures from her own life manifesting before her eyes, a lost childhood, fractured friendships, mistakes that weighed heavily. It clawed at her, trying to pull her into its depths. "You don't want to remember," the figure taunted, its voice echoing in her mind. "Get away from her!" Lisa shouted, dragging herself to her feet despite the weight of despair threatening to crush her. The shadows surged forward, clawing at her, but she held the dagger anew, driven by fury and the desire to protect her daughter. "You will not take her." Time seemed to freeze as the world blinked. In that moment, in the middle of the bedlam, something shifted. Lisa realized the truth. It wasn't just the mirror, it was them that the darkness craved, their struggles, their fears, their mistakes. The mirror reflected more than just their images, it reflected every regret, every pain sealing their fate. "Mommy, you can do it!" Emma shouted, her small voice breaking through the chaos, grounding Lisa once more. Just as she felt the dagger's power surge anew, the figure lunged, darkness curling around Lisa, threatening to engulf her. It hissed, "If you want to leave, you must confront your deepest fear." It's time to choose. As Lisa braced to fight back, heartbreak surged through her. The looming question remained unbidden. What if facing that darkness meant bringing forth the most terrifying parts of herself? The air crackled with tension as they stood at the precipice of truth, and the shadows shimmered with promise or doom. Would they confront their fate together, or would this be the end? A final echoing laugh rang out as the shadows coiled tighter, whispering with insidious glee. Time's running out. Choose wisely. The darkness writhed around them, but Lisa's resolve remained unshakable. She clutched the dagger tightly, its cold hilt a reminder of her purpose. I don't fear you, she declared with newfound ferocity. Emma stood beside her, albeit trembling. The figure's eyes narrowed, the mirth fading from its haunting smile. You should, it hissed, shifting closer, shadows swirling like smoke around its form. You invited me in when you chose to escape your reality. You need to face the pain you wish to hide. Only then can you leave. A heavy weight pressed against her chest, memories flooding her mind. The regrets spilled forth her struggles as a single mother, the heartbreak of past failures, the guilt of dragging her children into unknown horrors. But amid this cacophony of memories, the love for her children pierced through the darkness. Emma, we're not alone, Lisa whispered, locking eyes with her daughter. We can do this together. I will face my fears. I want to let it take you. Emma nodded, a flicker of courage igniting within her. Me too, Mom. I can fight it. As the darkness froze momentarily, Lisa took a deep breath and stepped forward. I'll confront my past. I'll face the pain and fears, she declared, raising the dagger high. You won't control us anymore. The figure laughed, the sound echoing ominously. Foolish mortals. Its voice turned icy. Then let us unravel it all. With a sharp motion, it reached out, pulling threads of Lisa's darkest memories into the air. Guilt manifested in twisted shapes, taking form like faceless apparitions whispering accusations. Lisa squeezed her eyes shut, dread overtaking her. No! Emma cried, desperation flooding her voice. She stepped forward, shimmering shards of the broken mirror catching the light and reflecting memories, both good and bad. Mom, look! Remember why we fight. We love each other. The memory of their laughter echoed through the shadows, harmonizing with the warmth that pushed back the darkness. Named fears swelled, but love pushed forward, overwhelming the tainted whispers. Lisa opened her eyes, gazing at the darkness around them, rendering it silent for a moment. I'm not afraid anymore. Lisa shouted, her voice breaking the spell. She thrust the dagger into the darkness, aiming for the figure's center. You have no power over me. I choose love over fear. The dagger ignited with blinding light as it struck the void. The shadows writhed, shrieking in agony. The twisted figure dissolved into a chaotic storm of smoke and light. The walls around them shivered, fracturing as the darkness shrieked, crying out in rage. No! This is not the end. You can't escape your essence. But Lisa felt Emma's small hand gripping hers tighter, their combined light radiating hope. We're free to choose. We will not be what you want. With a final push, the light expanded, engulfing the shadows completely. The darkness shuddered and shrieked, the cabin rumbling as reality unraveled. In a fierce flash, the darkness collapsed into nothingness, leaving only silence in its wake. As the light cleared, they found themselves standing on the beach outside their cursed beach house, halting waves lapping gently against the shore. Dawn broke over the horizon, golden hues spread warmth through the lingering shadows of the previous night. Lisa dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face, but this time they weren't of fear. They were tears of relief. Mom? Emma's voice pulled Lisa from her thoughts. Oh, Emma. Lisa engulfed her daughter in a fierce embrace, the salty air mixing with their laughter like magic. We made it. Max appeared beside them, groggy but unharmed. What happened? Lisa wiped away her tears as she let go of Emma. It's over, sweetheart. We're free. The memories flickered in the air behind her, echoes of darkness shimmering away as the beach house sat quietly behind them, still, abandoned, and finally devoid of any sinister yearning. But before they turned to leave, Lisa paused, glancing back at the house one last time. The air was clear now, shadows lifted. It was just a building, a shell stripped of its power. "We'll always remember," Emma murmured softly, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. With a sense of closure, Lisa took her children's hands, moving forward. They stepped away from the cursed sands, walking toward the promise of a new beginning as warm sunlight bathed them, casting away the chilling past. "I love you both," she smiled, love and strength surging through her heart. "This is our fresh start." The horizon stretched wide before them, filled with shimmering possibilities as they left the haunting echoes behind. Now it's your turn. If you love this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss any future exclusive stories. Click that bell and select all notifications. Smash the like button to help us feed the algorithm. Seriously, it makes a difference. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Lisa and her journey. And share this video with at least 5 friends who have to see what happens next. Don't wait even one more second to show your support.